All right, welcome back to ABA exam review and the continuation of our sixth BCBA mock exam, where we're going through the next set of questions together and breaking them down. If you're new to the channel, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. Please like and subscribe. Check out behavioranalyststudy.com for all of our study materials, including our combo pack. As always, when you pass, let us know so we can include you in the Sunday shout out. Work hard, study hard. Let's get going. 156. A researcher develops a multiple baseline design across participants A, B, and C. Baseline is taken concurrently and takes a total of 2 weeks. Participant A and participant B have stable baselines, while participant C's baseline is showing some variability. What participant should receive the intervention first? All right, the question is specifically asking about the participants and who should receive the intervention first. We're simply reiterating that to make sure we know what the question is asking about. You should do that for every single question. Now, this is a multiple baseline design across participants, and it's concurrent. So we're taking baseline on A, B, and C all at the same time. It takes 2 weeks. At the end of those 2 weeks, A and B have stable baselines. So we've reached a steady state strategy. The baselines are stable. That's great. That's what you want with a baseline. However, C is showing variability. So, question is, who gets the intervention first? And this is a broad, multiple baseline design question. Even if it was settings or behaviors, it doesn't really matter because we're looking at baselines here. So, how do you choose who gets intervention first in a multiple baseline design? Well, first things first. If you have a stable baseline, that participant or setting or behavior should get the IV first, should get the intervention first. In this case, we have 2 stable baselines. Therefore, you can randomize it or you can pick either one. When you have no stable baselines, or let's say more than one stable baseline, you can start to choose at random. Ideally, we're not going to want to start without a stable baseline, but that's going to be dependent on your design and your needs. In this case, though, we have 2 stable baselines. So it's going to be acceptable to start with either A or B. So if you look at answer A, we have participant A, but we've already predicted we need A or B. So we have B, participant B, C, participant C. D is what we're looking for. We can either start with participant A or participant B. This is how you should be tackling questions. Try to predict the answers before you actually see the answer choices. So in a multiple baseline design, you're looking for the stable baseline to start intervention. If you have more than one stable baseline, then you can randomize it, or you can just choose either one, whatever one you want to start with first. So in this case, either participant A or participant B can receive the intervention first. 157. You, a behavior analyst, want to start pairing the voice of your client's parents with edible reinforcers like chocolate and Skittles. If you were to train your technicians on the pairing procedure, what should you recommend they do to maximize the effectiveness of the pairing? Question is specifically asking about pairing. We're trying to make pairing effective. You are the behavior analyst and you need to train your technicians on the procedure. Therefore, you're telling them what they need to do. So what are we pairing? Well, we're pairing the voice of the client's parents with edibles. So edible reinforcers are currently reinforcing the client, motivating the client, however you want to view it. We want to take those properties and pair them and transfer them to the client's parents' voice. So if you're going to tell your technician how to maximize the effectiveness of the pairing, what would you say? A, present the parent's voice first and then the edibles as a consequence. All right, there's a chance this would work, right? You introduce the parent's voice and followed by the edibles, and we're hoping a pairing sequence happens, right? We hope the properties of the edibles transfer to the parent's voice. Now, what about presenting the edibles first and then the parent's voice? Now, this is less ideal, okay, because the edibles are going to be introduced first. It's already got the reinforcing properties. However, if we look at C, present the edibles in the parent's voice at the same time, This is ideal. Okay. And many people would think, okay, well, one should come first, one should come second, one comes before the other. Ideally, to maximize the effectiveness of the pairing, you want to pair or you want to present whatever stimuli you're trying to pair together at the same time or as close to at the same time as possible. So if you're trying to maximize the effectiveness of pairing, you want to present the edibles in the parent's voice at the same time. Present the stimuli simultaneously or as close to simultaneously as possible. 158. Nami is an amazing figure skater. She can execute practically any spin, jump, or lift to near perfection. She is always the favorite to win whatever competition she enters into because she is able to successfully complete the moves required to win. What does this information describe? Now, kind of a open-ended question, kind of ambiguous. What does this information describe? Well, it's kind of hard to say. So let's just think about it a little bit. We have Nami, who's this amazing figure skater. She can execute these spins. She can execute jumps. She can execute lifts. She has all these moves, all these different things she can engage in, all these different responses. She's always the favorite to win whatever competition she enters into because she can complete the moves required to win. Now, when you're describing things on your exam, we have to stay conceptually systematic. We need to use behavior analytic ideas. So, what does the information describe? Is the information describing Nami's skill level? Well, one, not necessarily. We're not comparing her skill level to anything. We're describing what she's able to do. But two, more importantly, skill level isn't conceptually systematic. We're not talking in behavior analytic terms when we talk about skill level. Anyways, what the question is describing is all these different responses, right? And so you can complete these moves and responses required to win. So when you're talking about the set of moves, the set of responses, this bucket of responses, what word are we looking for? Well, we're looking for B, repertoire. We're describing Nami's repertoire. The repertoire is essentially the bucket of responses. They could be self-stimulatory responses. So you have a repertoire of self-stimulatory responses. They can be maladaptive behavior, the repertoire of maladaptive behaviors. They can be skills. So in Nami's case, she has this repertoire of skills. We're describing the repertoire. C, Nami's resistance to extinction doesn't really make sense. We're not discussing extinction at all. We're not withholding reinforcement for anything. And then Nami's contiguity. This is where fluency is important. Contiguity has nothing to do with this question. But if you're not fluent, that word could throw you off. So you might not know what it means. Contiguity, we're talking about the closeness, right? And here, that has nothing to do with the closeness of consequences. And here it has nothing to do with what the information is describing. So remember, fluency comes first. And it's a good example why. Contiguity has nothing to do with this question. If you don't know what it means, it can be confusing. What the information is really describing is simply Nami's repertoire. You have a meeting scheduled for 9 a.m. with your advisor. Your advisor is typically 10 minutes late to meetings, so you don't show up until 9:10 a.m. on the day of the meeting. What goal of behavior analysis does this most represent? All right, we're looking at the very top of our task list. Goals of behavior analysis as a science, right? And so what are the goals of behavior analysis as a science? Well, we have our answer choices: description, prediction, and control. So let's break down each of those. Description, you're simply talking about, or in other words, describing an event. You're not correlating anything. You're not experimenting on anything. And you're just saying, this is what happens. So description might be, well, your advisor shows up late. That would be a description of your advisor's behavior. Now, prediction is when we start to correlate things. So we repeatedly observe phenomenon and we start to make predictions. In this case, you have a meeting at 9 a.m. You've observed your advisor is typically 10 minutes late. So you you predict that they're going to be late and you don't show up until 9:10 a.m. on the day of the meeting. We've drawn a correlation between meeting times and your advisor being late. And so you say, well, I am going to predict that I don't have to show up until 9:10 a.m. There's a correlation between start time and how late your advisor is, and you've used that to predict what you can do. Now, what is control? Well, control is actual experimentation. We have control over the behavior. We're not experimenting on anything here. We're not trying to manipulate the advisor's behavior. We're not trying to gain functional control or experimental control over anything. All we've done is drawn a correlation. Typically, there's a meeting time. There's a correlation between your advisor being 10 minutes late. And so you predict they're going to continue to be 10 minutes late. And so you show up at 9:10 a.m. So understand, again, description, we're simply just describing what's happening. Prediction, which is our answer, we're actually drawing correlations and making predictions about behavior. Control, we're experimenting, we're manipulating, and we're trying to establish a functional relationship or functional control or experimental control over a behavior. We're not going that far here. What we've done is predict. So the goal of behavior analysis in science here is prediction. 160, one of your clients always starts with an FR2 schedule when you are teaching them brand new skills. This has proven to be effective. Another one of your clients typically starts with a VI3 schedule for new skills, and this is also effective. How would you evaluate the two schedules relative to the learners? We're evaluating the two schedules relative to the learners. So let's focus on the schedules first. First client is an FR2, a fixed ratio 2 schedule. Now, what does that mean? That means every 2 responses, they're getting reinforced no matter what. It's fixed, it's unchanging. And you're using that to teach them brand new skills. It's effective. Okay. You have another client starting with the VI3 schedule, variable interval 3. What does that mean? It means on average, you're delivering reinforcement after 3 minutes for the first response. Now, the variable is important, right? Because that's indicating it's on average. It could be after 2 minutes. It could be after 6 minutes. It could be after 3 minutes. It's on average. You're also using this schedule for new skills, and it's also effective. So how are we going to evaluate these two schedules? They're both effective, but they're very different. We're using them to teach new skills. So A, you should never teach skills using a variable interval schedule. Be careful with answer choices that are very strong and very sure, right? Remember, our treatment is individualized. If a variable interval schedule works, which it does because the VI3 is effective for teaching new skills according to the question, it's totally fine to use it. A is way too strong. It's out. What about B? The FR2 schedule is thinner than the VI3 schedule. Now you see C, the VI3 schedule is thinner than the FR2 schedule. We've got to talk about this word thinner. When we thin a reinforcement schedule, what are we doing? Well, we're either increasing the response requirement, right? Making it harder, making a more response effort to get reinforcement, or we're increasing the time in between reinforcement. We're thinning the schedule. A thick schedule is like an FR1, FR2, FR3, where a lot of reinforcement is being delivered for not a lot of work or with a very limited amount of time. Which schedule is thinner? Well, the VI3 schedule, of course, is thinner. We're going to go a lot longer in between reinforcement for a VI3 compared to an FR2. So C looks pretty good. The VI3 schedule is thinner than the FR2 schedule. That's just true. And then D, the learner on the FR2 schedule will learn slower than the learner on the VI3 schedule. This has the same problem as A. We're being way too sure of something we know nothing about. We don't know the age of these clients, the development level, the skill level. We don't know any of those variables. How can we say one learner is going to learn slower or faster based on the schedule? You just can't, right? Can't make that assumption. A and D are too strong. They're out. They assume too much. B is just not true. So our answer has to be C. The VI3 schedule is thinner than the FR2 schedule. Don't get thin and thick confused, right? A thick schedule is FR1, continuous schedule, FR2, FR3, a lot of reinforcement, not a lot of effort, not a lot of time. The thinner the schedule is, the harder it is, the longer it takes to receive reinforcement. 161. A yoga instructor tells her class to get into lotus pose and then gets into lotus pose herself. The whole class then attempts to get into lotus pose as the instructor helps them. Class is doing what? Very easy question. And I always tell people, especially when I'm going through tutoring and things like that, is people get surprised when a question is easy, and it kind of trips them up sometimes. The rule and the idea is you get an easy question, you trust your preparation, you answer it, you move on. View it as a gift. This is a gift. What is the class doing? Well, the yoga instructor says get into lotus pose and then does it. So she's modeling lotus pose. The whole class then attempts to get into lotus pose as the instructor helps them. So they watch the instructor model the lotus pose and they do it. So the class is imitating. That's it. Don't be shocked to see easy questions. There's a lot of questions on the exam. Some of them will be easy. Answer the easy one, trust your preparation. Let's move on. It's of course not modeling. That's what the yoga instructor is doing, where we're looking at the class. Shaping, we're not talking about approximations or reinforcement of approximations. And then chaining, we're not talking forward, backwards, task analysis, any of those ideas. It's a simple imitation question. Yoga instructor demonstrates lotus pose, class imitates lotus pose, class is imitating. And then 162, which of the following single subject experimental designs does not benefit from not needing to remove treatment once treatment is in place? Kind of a strangely worded question, so let's read it carefully. We're looking for the single subject design that does not benefit from not needing to remove treatment once treatment is in place. So worded another way, which of the following single subject experimental designs benefits from not needing to remove treatment once treatment is in place? Meaning, what experimental designs do we use where once treatment's in place, we don't have to remove it? Well, multiple pro design. That's one of the advantages with the multiple pro design. Once intervention is in place, we don't have to withdraw or reverse it. Same with the multiple baseline design. A reversal design, of course, is not true. With the reversal design, it's in the name. You have to reverse or remove the treatment once treatment is in place. That's the entire idea. And a changing criterion design also does not need to remove treatment. So the single subject experimental design that does not benefit from not needing to remove treatment because you have to remove treatment once treatment is in place at least once is the reversal design. Thank you for watching. Check out behavioranalyststudy.com for all of our study materials. As always, let us know when you pass. Like, subscribe, spread the word, work hard, study hard. See you soon.